Girlies, it's about time we had this conversation on snake plants, because not only are these guys the most popular house plants, one of the most popular house plants, but one thing I've quickly learned as somebody who collects them is that there is so much misinformation about how to take care of them on the internet. But in today's video, I want to properly show you how to take care of your snake plants and debunk some of this nonsense that we see about them. So without much ado, let's proceed. And by the way, we've got a new microphone. Just put this here so I can properly gesticulate, and use my hand. The first mistake you're probably making is that you are not watering your snake plants enough. Really, you aren't. You think you are, but you aren't. And I can't really blame you, because a lot of the information out there has made you to believe that these plants actually do not like water and they are drought tolerant. To give you a better understanding of how to properly water your snake plants, let me briefly describe the weather conditions in this country. Remember, the native range of snake plants include the country I live in, Nigeria. So in this part of the world, in Nigeria, we have two seasons. We have a dry season and we have a rainy season. Now, for pretty much the entire country, the seasons are split into half. We have 6 months of the rainy season where there is prolonged and continuous rain. In fact, during the peak rainy season months, it rains almost every day. And then we have 6 months of the dry season where it becomes like drought-like conditions, especially the further north you go, where there is little to no rain, and certain parts of Nigeria can even go months without rain. Now, snake plants are native to the southern part of the country. The southern part of the country, not only is it rainier, but also during the dry season, we still get a fair amount of rain. There's pretty much rain here every single month of the year. Now, what does that tell you? That these guys can handle rain. In fact, for the ones that I grow in plastic pots, they are pretty much always perpetually moist. I keep them perpetually moist and I dump them underneath the rain. I never move my snake plants from the rain because they can take rain. One thing I also learned is that during the rainy season, when it is the rainiest, they grow like weeds. They produce pops. They just grow exponentially. They are so happy. However, during the dry season, their growth reduces. And this will explain the succulent nature of these guys. This will explain the succulent nature of their leaves. Because during the dry season, they leave off reserves that they have accumulated in their leaves during the rainy season. But like I said, in the southern part of the country, babes, our dry season is not entirely completely dry. So these girlies will still get water and rain occasionally. They are not plants that can take prolonged drought like some of your other succulents, like your cacti. And I quickly learned that because I noticed that when I go sometimes a month, 2 months without watering these guys, the moment I water them, it's like they just suddenly collapse, which is how I've lost a lot of my indoor snake plants. So I'm trying to tell you that these guys, the more you water them, the faster they grow. And yes, they are drought tolerant, but only to a certain degree. Also, if you subject them constantly to too much drought, they will not grow. Okay, your snake plants remain stunted. So how do you grow your snake plant indoors? How do you water your snake plant? Now, for you indoors, I would advise just water when they are dry. Don't leave them to stay dry for too long. The moment you see that they are dry, just water. Okay, I hope we get that. Now let's move on to the next one. A lot of people do not know this, but this actually happens. It sounds crazy, but it actually happen. You see your snake plant, you see the leaf of your snake plant will always have this pointy part at the end of each leaf. Now what happens is that if you break this pointy part at the end of any of your snake plants, regardless of the type, if you break this pointy part, that leaf is going to stop growing. Did you hear what I said, babes? If you happen to break this pointy part of the leaf of any snake plant, that particular leaf will stop growing. And this is a perfect example. You can see here, this one, this is broken here. This leaf is an old leaf. It has not gotten any longer than this, and it will never get any longer ever. That is just how the snake plant works. I don't understand why it does that, but it absolutely just does that. So what then happens is that the leaf will stop growing, but the snake plants will then either produce a pop or an offshoot, or it will then produce another leaf, as seen here from the crown. Is all of this making sense to you? Please let me know in the comments if it is. And so what that consequently does is that it slows down the growth of your snake plant. And for some, this may be why your snake plant is not getting any taller, or not as tall as you want it to be. This may also explain why some snake plants, and I have a perfect example. I have to handle this one with care because it's quite pointy, but it may explain why some snake plants have like really sharp and pointy leaves. This is a perfect example of one such snake plant. Notice how sharp and pointy the leaves are. Like, there is no way you can actually break this. Rather, it is gonna poke you and you quickly learn to stay away from it. I have learned, and as a result, the leaves are progressively get longer and longer as the plant matures. So maybe this could explain why some snake plants have that pointy edge to their leaves. So babes, yeah, just bear that in mind when you're handling a snake plant, or you're wondering why your snake plant hasn't grown. Pause this video right now and go and check your snake plant to see if, you know, the tip of the leaves have been cut. That might explain why your snake plant hasn't grown in a while. Okay, so let me just quickly drop this, please. The next point is, many of you have been made to believe that snake plants hate the sun, that snake plants cannot handle direct sunlight. Really? Excuse me, did I not tell you guys that these plants are native to Nigeria? The native range includes Nigeria. And I don't know about you, but Nigeria is an oven. I don't know about your country, but this country is an oven. This country is, sometimes I ask myself, am I in Nigeria or am I in hellfire? Because this country is literally as hot as hell sometimes, I would imagine. And I have never, ever, okay, maybe just 1 or 2 times when the weather is extremely hot, I have not encountered a snake plant getting burnt by this sun. It takes the sun, it can take our Nigerian sun and it thrives underneath the sun. To blow your mind, these guys are used as landscaping plants here. Like, if you ever visit Lagos, you come and move across the road, they're used as landscaping hedge plants here. No shade, no tree. As hot as this city is, they are growing and they are doing fine. So I don't understand why you have been sold this lie that these guys do not take direct sun when they are native to a country that is practically hellfire. All right, so please do not be afraid to give these girlies direct sun. In fact, they thrive in direct sun. However, if you've been growing your snake plant indoors or in shade for a prolonged period of time, you're gonna need to acclimate it, okay, to be able to take direct sun. That's so, I'm not saying because you heard what I said now you go and carry your snake plant that's been indoors in your Canadian basement apartment for years and put it directly under this heat wave weather that we're having right now. No, babes. Gradually acclimate it to take direct sun. Okay? Yeah. See, I'm really sweating. Just to show you how hot this country is. It's morning and I'm sweating. All right, the next one I want to talk to you about is, I talked about watering, but you do need to be mindful about how you water your snake plants. Certain snake plants, not all snake plants. And I've got a perfect example here. This is a snake plant that has sort of like this rosette growth profile. One of my favorites is Sansevieria honey. Now, for snake plants that have this rosette crown nest-like growth profile, you do not want to water them on top from above. You want to either bottom water or you want to water from the side. This is especially true if you're growing them indoors or in a low light area, because what will happen, and I have a perfect example, can you see this? Can you see? What will happen is crown rot. It will just start to rot from there. I'll see if I can insert a B-roll. It will just start to rot from there. Now, I've gotten away with doing this several times because I grow these guys outdoors in a very sunny spot of my garden. So, but if you're growing them indoors, please water them from the side, okay? Or you bottom water. All right, if you are finding this video informative, you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe, okay? Thank you. Let's proceed to the next point, and I've got a perfect example of that here. Putting your snake plants in small pots. When I first started growing snake plants, the information I found on the internet was that, oh, these guys love to be in small pots. Always put them in small pots. So I put them in small pots. All of them, I was so terrified to grow them in these wide pots. But then I quickly realized that when I kept my snake plants in small pots, they didn't thrive. They didn't grow lush. They had very little pops. But the moment I started to transition them to bigger pots, bigger and wider pots, they just went crazy. And I quickly learned, oh, this is a lovely view. I quickly learned that the bigger the spot is for the snake plant, the more pops you're going to get, and the bigger the leaves will be. There is a grower that I love his garden, and he's also an avid snake plant collector here in Nigeria, and his snake plants are just huge. They are fat and big, and all of them, he grows them in big pots. He was the one that even plugged me on this big pot hack. It's like, if you want to have big snake plants, grow it in big pots. So my advice is, you can start off, look at this mama, you can see she's big. She was trying so hard to bring a pop that she ended up bringing it out from the drainage hole. I'm going to report this into a bigger pot. And I'm going to take you guys along. We're having another pot and kiki video probably this week. I'm excited. But anyways, yes, so you can start off with a 4-inch pot if it's a snake plant that is small and doesn't have an extensive root system yet. But the moment that plant begins to root, and the moment it has become root bound, move it instantly to a bigger and a wider pot, preferably. And I have a perfect example. This pot, let me drop this. This is a perfect sized dimension for most snake plants, especially these smaller ones. Oh my god, look at how this has just produced so many pops. Look at how this has just produced so many pops. And that is ultimately what you're gonna enjoy. You're gonna enjoy a bigger plant, a fuller plant, one that will produce multiple pops than if you kept it small here. Now, for bigger sized snake plants, I always advise my clients, and I'm giving you this advice, for bigger sized snake plants, these pots of this size will actually do wonders. In fact, if I had this space, I would have even kept them in bigger pots. But you know, I'm living in a rented space, so I don't want pots that take up too much space. So these pots are fine. This next one, I'm going to hold the mic and speak directly to my American girlies, because this point is for you, my North American girlies, my Canadian girlies, to a certain extent my UK girlies as well. Using a potting mix that is too chunky is actually not good for snake plants. It is not good for snake plants. These guys, in my opinion, they actually do well when the soil is mostly soil, when it's actually dirt, like actual garden soil from the earth. Like, if your mix is too chunky, they're gonna have a hard time just gripping onto it. They're gonna have a hard time just being plump, and just they like actual. All these guys, they are growing in actual dirt that I might have amended with some compost, but they're not growing in any chunky fancy soil. Stop making your soil too chunky and too porous for these guys. As a matter of fact, these guys are not even, well, especially if you're growing them outdoors anyways, you can get to maybe growing these guys in like the most rubbish soil and they will still grow. They are not particular about the type of soil you grow them in. But I would advise, if you're growing indoors, please don't make your mix too chunky. Don't make your mix too chunky. Get a mix that is airy but can still retain some moisture. That way you have this, perfectly chunky, perfectly yummy and succulent snake plant leaves. Some of your snake plants look withered and they look like a shriveled. Let me not say what I want to say, but they look shriveled. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh. So guys, I think we have come to the end of this video. I honestly thought I had written more points and I was actually enjoying this conversation. And so yeah, we've come to the end of this video. And I really hope you found this video helpful, and I hope it's going to elevate your snake plant game, so you can start growing thriving snake plants and not struggling snake plants like some of you all have in your collection. No shade, but if you found this useful and you liked it, please like and subscribe, and as usual, I will see you in the next video. Bye.